Welcome to Football with Cheese. So yesterday, I made a video going over the leaks. A little bit over 50% of the games were leaked online. So if you did not check out that video, I'll link it in one of the boxes. In this video, I'm going to go over the Sunday Night Football schedule for the most part, mention a few Monday Night Football games. If you are not subscribed, please do so now and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. So Sunday Night Football, to me, should be the best game of the week. Obviously, you can't put the Chiefs or the Eagles or the Bills on every week. I think the limit is 3 games for Sunday Night Football. At least originally. They could flex games later on in the season. Personally, I think it should be at least 4. Because you're not up against any game. Sunday Night Football, it should be the best game of the week or the best matchup or one of the best matchups. And if you've already used a team a bunch, like you've already used the Eagles twice, well, maybe you pick a division rival, something exciting. And every year, the Sunday Night Football schedule, it seems to get dumber and dumber. So let's get into it. Obviously, I'm sharing my screen. It's off to a great start. Baltimore at Buffalo. Awesome game, playoff rematch, two of the best teams in the NFL. And also in week 1, opening Thursday is Cowboys at Eagles, division rival. Obviously, the Super Bowl champion hosts the opening game, so that's why it's Cowboys at Eagles. So that might count towards Sunday night games, the allotted 3. So I have no problem with Ravens at Bills. Great pick. Week 1, they usually get it right. Then they start going off the rails. And some weeks, the Thursday night game and Monday night game are better matchups. Before we go into the rest of the weeks, here's what I'm looking for a Sunday night game. 2 teams that made the playoffs the year before. Division rivalries, especially if both teams are projected to be good. Playoff rematches are huge, especially if they met in the Super Bowl, which 2 teams did, yet they're not playing Sunday night. So those are the games I'm looking for. And if you want to put a team that maybe wasn't a playoff team the year before on Sunday night, well, do it early in the season. Do it early, put the best matchups later on. Because you don't want to get a situation where you have one good team that's pretty much clinched a playoff spot or has clinched, and then a team that's got 4 or 5 wins and they're out of it. And they might even bench their veteran quarterback for a young guy just to see what they have, and it's 40-17 final score. So week 1, Ravens, Bills, awesome. Week 2, Falcons at Vikings, huge mistake. Falcons did not make the playoffs last year. Vikings are going with a quarterback that's never started a game. J.J. McCarthy missed his whole rookie campaign with a meniscus tear, so he is an unknown. I liked him a lot coming out. I think he's going to be good, but he is an unknown. And the Falcons were just an average team last year. It looks like their defense is going to be better based on the draft, but it's still an unknown. And here are a couple of the games that they could have used. I just mentioned this. Philadelphia at Kansas City. Super Bowl rematch. Perfect game for Sunday Night Football. Maybe because the Eagles are hosting the opening Thursday, they can't use them back-to-back weeks. Okay, fine. But then don't put Eagles-Chiefs week 2. Put it week 9 or 10 or 11, something like that, right in the middle of the year, and put it on Sunday night. Washington at Green Bay, both made the playoffs last year, is the Thursday game. Much better matchup. Week 3. We have the Chiefs at the Giants. Huge mistake. At least it's early, but why are you putting the Giants on Sunday Night Football? They were the 3rd worst team in the NFL last year. They picked 3rd in the draft. So why are they on Sunday Night Football? And it's not a New York thing. Oh, it's good New York market, on Sunday Night Football because the Jets don't have a Sunday night game. So it doesn't make any sense. And the Chiefs and Giants, they don't have a rivalry at all. None. There's no connection between those 2 teams. Here are a couple of the games in week 3. Detroit at Baltimore is Monday Night Football. Why didn't you just flip that? Put Chiefs-Giants on Monday night. Detroit at Baltimore. Oh, man. A lot of offense in that game. And here's a crazy one. Rams at Eagles is 1 Eastern in week 3. Rams at Eagles, playoff rematch. The Rams gave the Eagles the toughest game in the entire playoff. They had a chance to beat the Eagles. If they had double-teamed Jalen Carter, they might have won that game. And we would have a different Super Bowl champion. We'll never know. The Rams decided not to. Jalen Carter's a freaking beast, defensive tackle for the Eagles. So one of those games has to be Week 3 Sunday night game. Week 4, we have Green Bay Packers at Dallas Cowboys. This is a pretty good matchup, but the Cowboys did not make the playoffs last year, and I found 2 games that would be better. Baltimore at Kansas City. You didn't need to use the Chiefs at Giants the week before. Obviously, you don't want to use the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks, but you could have gone Rams-Eagles Week 3, Sunday night, and then come back with Ravens-Chiefs in Week 4. The other one I had was Eagles at Buccaneers. Both playoff teams last year. So Week 4, I had Packers-Cowboys as a third best matchup, but they're better ones. Week 5, New England Patriots at Buffalo Bills. The Bills are a fun team to watch, one of the best teams in the NFL. New England is not. They picked in the top 5. They should be better. I could see them winning 7, 8, maybe even 9 games. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Their roster is significantly better, but it's still not a great team, and this is likely not a close game. And Houston plays Baltimore. It's not a strong week, but Texans at Ravens would have been much better. All right, Week 6, Detroit Lions at Kansas City Chiefs. That's amazing. No issues whatsoever there. Week 7, Falcons at 49ers. So, we talked about the Falcons. They weren't a playoff team last year. Might be this year. The 49ers were last in the West. I know a year and a half ago they were in the Super Bowl, but they lost a lot and to me did not get much better. I don't think they're a playoff team. And here are a couple games you could have had. Washington at Dallas. Dallas wasn't a playoff team last year, but that's a huge rivalry. Much better matchup. And Tampa Bay at Detroit. Both made the playoffs. 2 of the better teams in the NFC. It's not going to get much better. Green Bay Packers at Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the Aaron Rodgers game. If Aaron Rodgers does not sign with the Steelers, if he does not play for them, this is a terrible game. Because not only will Pittsburgh be bad, but there's absolutely nothing connecting these teams. Rodgers is it. I guess they played in the Super Bowl 14 years ago. So you can't even say it's a Super Bowl rematch. If it was 2 or 3 years ago, you might be able to say that. So if Aaron Rodgers does not sign, Pittsburgh's looking at a rough season because Mason Rudolph would probably be the quarterback. Who knows? Maybe they start Will Howard. Wow. So Monday Night Football that week is Washington at Kansas City. 2 of the Final 4 teams last year. Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes. It would be unbelievable. So we get to see it on Monday night. Seattle Seahawks at Washington. Well, they really are the Redskins. So another game. Seahawks, they won 10 games, just missed the playoffs. Both these teams should be pretty good. I don't have a real problem with it. Minnesota at Detroit. It's a division rival. Might be a little bit better matchup. But also, Kansas City plays Buffalo. AFC Championship rematch. Has to be the game. Week 9, November 2nd. Right in the middle of the year. Get the casual fan excited again because they want to see that rematch. But Seahawks Redskins, should be a fun one. Just, it's not Bills Chiefs. Week 10, Steelers at Chargers. Once again, if Aaron Rodgers does not sign with the Steelers, this could be a rough matchup. Chargers were a playoff team last year. You also have Detroit at Washington. That's a rematch of the divisional game where Washington pulled a huge upset in Detroit, scored 45 points, and then lost next week, obviously, to the Eagles. I'm just not understanding how they pick Sunday games. Does NBC get picked certain weeks and then Fox and CBS can pull a game back? I don't know, but if I'm the NFL, I want the best game every Sunday night. And obviously you can't put Washington or Philadelphia or Buffalo or Baltimore every week, the Chiefs, you can't. But you could do it 4 times. In these weeks, I give you 2 or 3 games you can use. So, Steelers at Chargers, yeah, okay. Detroit Lions at Philadelphia Eagles, outstanding. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Rams. Both teams are expected to be very good, 2 of the best teams in the NFC. So I like this matchup. You could also have gone Green Bay, host Minnesota. That's another one. Division rival. Both teams were in the playoffs last year. Okay, so week 13 is Thanksgiving week. So Broncos at Redskins. It's about the best you could have done. because here's the games you can't use. Green Bay at Detroit is the early game on Thanksgiving. Then Kansas City at Dallas, and then Cincinnati at Baltimore. By the way, Cincinnati and Baltimore, probably two of the best 5 games last year. If you got to see those games, they were both high scoring. Team that had the ball last pretty much won. And Cincinnati just could not stop Baltimore's offense. They lost 2 close games, and they barely missed the playoffs. So I'm really excited about Thanksgiving. Thank God that Dallas didn't get the easiest team on their home schedule like they usually do. So luckily they do have to host the Chiefs this year. And the best remaining game was Denver at Washington. So no problem with that. Week 14, Texans at Chiefs. Both good teams. Playoff rematch. Outstanding. Week 15, Vikings at Cowboys. This actually was the second best matchup I saw when I looked at Week 15. Week 15 and 16 were pretty weak. It's the fourth to last and third to last week. And you know you're going to have some fun matchups Week 17, 18. Most people play their division rivals then. So because of that, Week 15, Week 16 are weak. But the Lions play the Rams. And those are two of the best teams in the NFC. That's a game I would have picked. Week 16 was rough. But you can't pick Bengals-Dolphins. Neither team made the playoffs last year. The Dolphins, I don't think they're going to be very good at all. They might be the worst team in the AFC East. They didn't get any better. They didn't have a very good draft. They might move on from Jalen Ramsey. This is a bad pick. Even week 2 or 3, this is a bad pick. Here's who you could have used. Green Bay at Chicago. Huge rivalry. Philadelphia at Washington. They were in the NFC title game last year. They're division rivals. Both those games are on Saturday. Why not put Bengals, Dolphins, the early game Saturday, maybe Green Bay, Chicago, the late game, and then Philadelphia, Washington, Sunday night? That would have made more sense. Bengals at Dolphins. I know they can flex this game, but look at the rest of the schedule. There's not much there. So this is probably the matchup. And this could be a 4-win Dolphin team playing a Bengal team that's good but not great. Just not a great matchup. Plus, if you've been following the Dolphins the last few years, their roster is just gradually getting worse. There's some issues with veteran players and head coach Mike McDaniel. And they usually start off pretty good and fade as the season goes on. And they're not as good against the best teams. They will beat the bad teams, no problem. But when they go against really good teams with really good quarterbacks, they struggle. And Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback. So I just think this is a big mistake right before Christmas, too. Week 17, another mistake. Bears have 49ers. Neither were in the playoffs. Both were last place teams last year. Both are expected to be better. But here's who you could have used. Eagles at Bills, Ravens at Packers, Texans at Chargers, which was a playoff rematch. And you picked Bears 49ers. Bears 49ers would be fine week 4, but not week 17. Terrible pick. So week 18, if you did not know, they wait until week 17 is done and pick the game that means the most. Last year it was Vikings-Lions for the division. So I just looked at the schedule. I like to guess what game it'll be. I did not guess Vikings-Lions last year. I did not think the Vikings would be a playoff team. Most people did not. So Packers play the Vikings. That could be for a playoff spot. We have, Washington at Philadelphia. So Washington and Philadelphia played twice in the last 3 weeks. They got to spread that out. That's crazy. Play one in the middle of the season and one at the end. But that could be for the division. And I'm going to give you a sleeper. So the Arizona Cardinals, they were actually winning the division halfway through. I think they were maybe one game over 500. They have a good offense. Their defense imploded. But they did improve it in free agency and in the draft. So the Arizona Cardinals could be a playoff team, and they play the Rams. So who knows? That could be for the division. So that is Sunday Night Football. Just want to mention a few more things real quick. So Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football, it's not supposed to be the best matchup. Sometimes it ends up being. But if you're going to put teams that weren't very good the year before on Thursday night or Monday night, then do it early in the season. We've talked about this. You want 2 good teams playing all these primetime games from week 11 to week 18. And Monday Night Football did not necessarily do this. Panthers at 49ers week 12. We talked about the 49ers. Panthers should be better, but they pretty much always pick in the top 10. Giants at Patriots week 13. That's just ridiculously stupid. Dolphins at Steelers week 15. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign the Steelers, And the Dolphins, I don't expect to be very good. That could be two teams with 4 wins playing in week 15. What a disaster that could be. And then 49ers at Colts week 16. Colts, I just don't know how good they're going to be. They have a good roster, but Anthony Richardson's such an unknown. And I don't believe in Daniel Jones. All these matchups should be like week 2, week 3, week 6, week 8. That's where I'd have these games. If you want to use them, I'd probably just pick different games. So I just want to mention 8 teams that have terrible bye weeks. If you have a week 5 bye, that means you play 4 games, have a week off, and then play 13 straight to end the year. That's rough. If you have a week 14 bye week, you play 13 games to start the year before you get a break. Week 5 bye week, Packers, Bears, Falcons, Steelers. It seems like the Packers get an early bye week every other year, either week 4, 5, or 6. And I know Matt LaFleur is not asking for that. He does not want an early bye. And then week 14, you have the Giants, Panthers, 49ers, and Jets. So the Ravens last year had the week 14 bye. And they lost their first 2 games to the Chiefs and Raiders. I don't know how they lost to the Raiders at home. And then they lost some games in the middle of the season against the Browns, Eagles, and Steelers. Really close games. And they might have won those games if they had a bye. Then they have the week 14 bye, and they won their last 4 games, and none of them were close. They won by at least 17 points because they finally had rest. You know, the NFL's tough. Your body's going to wear down as the season goes on. You need a break. They need to go to 2 bye weeks. I think eventually they will when they add another game. But 18-game schedule is a topic for another video. And as far as the week 5 bye goes, it's only advantageous if you have a ton of early injuries. The Eagles actually did have week 5 bye, so it's still possible to win the Super Bowl having early or late bye. I just prefer something in the middle of the season, so I just want to point out there's 8 teams, and I'm sure they're not liking that. So, if you have not, make sure you are subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like. It helps the channel out. So comment down below. What do you think? Is there one week where you might just skip it because you don't like the matchup? If you have not, please check these videos out. Share this with anyone who loves football as we continue to grow the channel, and I will see you in the next video.